The Idries Shah Foundation podcast. Practical Psychology for Today. Featuring the works of Idries Shah, voiced by David Ault. Welcome to the Idries Shah Foundation podcast. In this edition of the podcast, we will hear selections from Oriental Magic by Idries Shah. This audio has been made available by the Idries Shah Foundation. Chapter 8. The Arabian Contribution. In the name of Suleiman, son of David, upon whom be peace, who made all the jinn subject to him, I do hereby, and in the name of King Suleiman, and by his seal as my oath, bind myself to use the power that thou shalt give me in the way I think to be for the best, and to keep my power secret from all. Magician's Oath, Book of the Sevenfold Secret, First Gate. Little is known of Arab magical practices before the rise of Islam in the 7th century of this era. According to Arab tradition, Solomon left a vast heritage of his spells and powers to a number of initiates who guarded the secrets in out-of-the-way oases. Other magicians, armed with magic words, talismans and spells, filled vast caverns full of treasures and exercised their power as a sort of occult elite over the entire world. Before the advent of Islam, the Semitic traditions shared by Arabs, Jews, Assyrians and others were embodied in the rituals and symbolism of the idolatry of the temple at Mecca, the mystic Kaaba, which Muhammad purified and rededicated to monotheism after the success of his mission. Among the 360 spirit gods set up there were Al-Lat, Manat, Udsa and Hobal, demons and gods who gave oracles and decided the ways of man. Their priests were drawn exclusively from the tribe of Quraysh, the royal clan. We have sufficient knowledge of the pre-Islamic Arab sorcerers to know that their methods closely resembled those of the other Semitic nations. Where the Arab contribution becomes interesting is during the period after the all-conquering clans swept out of the desert, and the epoch of assimilation with other systems came to the fore. The story of Arab Islamic magic follows the pattern of Arab civilization. Under the early caliphs of Syria, Spain, and Egypt, the staggering mass of written material captured from the heritage of Rome, Greece, and all the other conquered nations was translated into Arabic. Scholars, frequently at state expense, systematized the teachings of Aristotle and the other Greek writers, summarized ancient histories, organized the codes of law, religion, and ethic. At the flourishing universities of Kairouan, Azhar, Cordoba, Baghdad, doctors worked on medicine, magic, and alchemy. Jewish and Chaldean magical beliefs were boiled down and studied. What was the Arab-Muslim attitude toward magic? Taking, as always, their lead from the Quran, the sages accepted the theory that magic, in one form or another, was a definite force. Some of the world's most interesting magical treatises come from the pens of Arab-Muslim writers between the 12th and 16th centuries. And it was partly through their work with learned Jews in the Arab-Spanish universities that much of Oriental law entered Europe. Fakhr ed-Din el-Razi, or Razes, outlined one of the first Arab systems of magic. According to him, sir, or magic, is to be divided into 3 naw, or categories. First comes Chaldean magic, which meant to him largely a star cult, and included astrology and spirits attributed to the forces of the stars. Secondly, he says, there is true spirit magic, which may be a form of spiritualism, together with hypnosis. It also dealt with the interaction of the human soul upon its host, the body, and upon the bodies of others. Contact with other human spirits and their employment forms a part of this section. Finally, there are miracles, which are vouchsafed only to prophets, according to the Muslim belief. Legend has it that there were two angels, Harut and Marut, who learned magic and transmitted its knowledge to mankind, and this thesis is basic to all Arab magic. There are also such things as jinn or genie, which may be part spirit and part something else. Both the angels and genies are mentioned more than once in the Quran. Another form of magic treated by Arabs is mask, the art of transforming men into animals, which is known in the West as lycanthropy. The classical books of Arab researchers in many other fields than the occult record magical beliefs and processes. Such authorities as Tabari, the historian, speak of magic, while the social philosophy of Ibn Khaldun mentions certain rites seen and recorded by him. Even the philosophical writings of Al-Ghazali, father of modern logic, make it clear that the Arab masters had given the subject serious thought. Ibn Khaldun, the social philosopher, gives one of the most refreshingly unbiased accounts of a thinker faced with magical beliefs. Writing in the 14th century, he says that there were two types of magic, pure magic and talismans. Pure magic he defines as some force which comes straight from within the magician, without the intermediary of any helper or mu'awin. In this form there is no question of spirits being used or conjured. This is perhaps an echo of the mana akasa belief in a widespread, almost untapped occult force, which is there to be used, and neither good nor evil, almost a psychophysical force. The second form, which is summarized in the term talismanic, implies the necessity of making contact with and use of some other force. Ibn Khaldun was the first to notice that there is some link between the hypnoidal state and the ability to make use of some sort of power. He says that the pentacle drawing and other rituals must work up the magician's emotion to a high pitch. If this is not achieved, there will be no result. This is the first scientific comment to be recorded in the study of magic. This background of intense intellectual activity, covering a study of various systems, produced a wide variety of talismans and other wonder-working items. I came across an interesting instance of the extent of the diffusion of Arabic magical formulae, or dikkas, in Argentina. I saw in Buenos Aires a small locket upon which was the following phrase, as printed: Ojala, Ojal, Oja, Oj, O. This is clearly a version of the abracadabra motif, as it was described to me as a charm worn by a girl desiring a husband. When the Arabs were in Spain, as is well known, this word Ojala, from Arabic inshallah, may Allah will it, passed into the Spanish. It is still much used, for example, Ojala that such and such may happen. I had not, however, heard of it in Spain as a charm or spell. Most Spaniards and Latin Americans are ignorant of the philology of Ojala. Talismans must be made at certain times. They are to contain either or both of the magical metals iron and copper. Their symbolism is a powerful agent for compelling the subservience of spirits. Those who desire to cause discord, for example, must make their talisman square when the moon is in Aries. But one made in Aries and of circular shape will compel a spirit who has knowledge of hidden treasures to appear and divulge his secrets. The word Athore, which is under the aegis of the Pleiades, when inscribed on a copper tablet, gives powers far beyond the ordinary to sailors, soldiers, and alchemists. Buildings, wells, and mines may be wrecked by a magical talisman made of the same material, with the word Adelamen and the sign for Taurus written thereon. This is also thought to be powerful for any form of evil magic. Alcate, made unto Taurus, with its sign and this name upon it in black on a triangular piece of iron, is carried by travellers and is said to cure many illnesses. Athana, written with the sign of Gemini on a crescent-shaped tablet of iron and copper, helps besiegers. Used in evil magic, it can destroy harvests and is effective for revenge. Aldimiac, also under Gemini and composed in the same way as the former talisman, is used for love and friendship. It was recommended that a complete set of these signs should be written on white paper with jet black ink and carried on the person. Then when the moon or sun was passing through the appropriate signs of the zodiac, the latent virtues of the talismans would start to operate, and the requisite benefits would be felt and seen. There are still other variations on this astrological law. Almazan under Leo causes men to quarrel, and women. It is a bad sign for travellers, and a general promoter of discord as a talisman. Algelioch, also under Leo, being at a fixed position, promotes love and benevolence. Azobra, from the mane of Leo, is good for voyages and to regain lost affections. Alzapha, from Virgo, is fortunate for gain. Achureth, from Virgo, keeps love and cures the sick, though it does not help land travel. Those who want to find a treasure made their talisman with the name of Agrapha under Libra, and Azubene, with affinity to Scorpio, was unfortunate for sea travel. Talismans in copper and lead made under the power of the crown of Scorpio and engraved with the name Alkil were supposed to favour fortune in general and travel. The following Arabian talismans complete the list given in several magical books. They were widely current at one time in Europe. Alatha, the tail of Scorpio, is unlucky for travel or new friendships, and so is used in hate magic. Abrahaya destroys ill-gained wealth and incites people to gamble. Abeda helps harvests and travellers, but causes divorce and discontent if used with vicious intent. Sadaheka, which comes under Capricorn, ensures good health, while Zabadola cures certain diseases. Sadabeth is the star of fortune, and its talisman should be worn by all who seek conjugal loyalty. Sadalabra, in conjunction with other hate talismans, is useful for revenge, destroys enemies and also causes divorce. Alfaz, on the other hand, helps one to meet one's life partner and brings good fortune in general. Albothan, which is governed by the force of Pisces, brings safety in strange places. It is one of the protective charms worn by magicians while at their work. It promotes harmony and makes married people happy. Arabic magic is highly symbolized. Many of the traditional signs of the wizards, the pentagram, the seal of Solomon and the shield of David, the eye of Horus and the hand of the moon god, are in constant use among Arab Islamic sorcerers. One curious belief deserves mention here. In the case of the swastika, that symbol of the sun and of life among peoples from time immemorial, the Arabs have decided that a special virtue resides in its form alone. If that form is allied to a meaning assigned to it by thought force, then the force becomes doubled. Should the meaning be trebled, so is the force which is at the command of the magician through the very symbolism of the swastika or other magical device. In the 17th century Arabic work Tilism wal Quwa, Power and Talismans, we find an expansion of this theory. The Christians, says the anonymous author, took the sign of the cross as their emblem. Now we know that from time immemorial the cross has been used in magic to portray the sun, and also that it contains within it virtues of a kind of which we are uncertain. It was potent before Jesus. After the crucifixion it was adopted, and thus has a double function and potency. The same is true of the swastika. Where the swastika originated is not known. In China it is still extremely common, under the name of Wan, and is thought to have been adopted under Buddhism, which possibly points to an Indian source. The accumulation of lucky signs possessing 10,000 virtues, being one of the 65 mystic figures which are believed to be traceable to every one of the famous footprints of Buddha. It is also current in other lands which have Buddhist traditions. It has been identified with the hammer of Thor, whence possibly the German Nazis adopted it as an Aryan symbol, the Zeus or thunderer of the Scandinavians. The name which we use for it is derived from two Sanskrit words, su, well, and asti, it is, meaning it is well. There are many varieties of the cross swastika, among them the philpot, which is the emblem of the Isle of Man. There have been several Arabian adaptations of the swastika symbol to powers, invocations, and names. In one, the phrase Ya Ali, O Ali, an invocation to the fourth caliph and companion of Muhammad, is seen. This is current among followers of the Shia rite, who revere this personage very highly. Again, in Persia, the symbol was used to enclose the Persian invocation to the four caliphs, Ya Chaha Ya, O Four Friends. In this case, the arms, or legs, of the figure, as with the former one, give the impression of clockwise rotation. One calligrapher, knowing of the meaning of the Chahaya phrase, prepared a version of my name for a seal, in which were two swastikas rotating in different directions. The last one contained my title, Syed Shah. So much for the talismanic aspect of the Arabian contribution. Characteristic of the employment of demons and spirits, as opposed to the talisman theory or second force of Ibn Khaldun, is the intricate question of the knot spell. An important reference to the making and use of knots as a vehicle for curses is found in the Quran. The Daybreak. Say thou, I take refuge with the Lord of Daybreak from the evil of all he hath made, and from the evil of the dark one when it spreads, and from the evil of those who blow upon knots, and the evil of the envious when he envies. This clearly refers to the ancient Semitic knot law which is quoted in the Maklu or burning tablets. Her knot is loosed, her sorcery is brought to naught, and all her charms fill the desert. Muslim tradition tells a curious tale of the Prophet Muhammad being bewitched by a Jewish sorcerer using this method. 9 knots were tied in a string, each knot binding a curse, and the thread was then hidden in a well. Only the Archangel Gabriel's timely warning, we are informed, disclosed the hiding place of the death spell. Such spells are countered by untying the knots one by one, but in this case the chroniclers affirm that they unravelled themselves at the Prophet's command. Just as evil can be bound into knotted thread, so can good be done by the same means. Among the Central Asian tribes, illness is cured by blowing upon knots, and there is a regular ritual attached to the whole thing. A 3-coloured cord is spun in green, blue, and red. 1 knot is tied every day. After 7 days, the spell is buried in an inaccessible spot, and the disease will then disappear. Many of the stories in the Arabian Nights have as their basis the magical beliefs of the Arabs and Chaldeans in the jinn and their powers. Just as the Western witches supposed that they could, by performing certain rites, gain the services of a powerful demon, so do traditional Arabian and Islamic writings tell of the wonders of Jinnland and the country of the fairies, Peristan. The method of conjuring jinni by talismans is widespread. Briefly, though there are variations, this consists in making a talisman and perfuming it with the requisite incense as the first step. After this has been done, the jinn is conjured in the name of Solomon and threatened with Solomon's wrath, i.e. being sealed in a metal bottle, if he does not appear. If the correct number of repetitions have been made, and certain other requirements complied with, the jinn will come and serve the invocant. Muslim theologians are somewhat at variance about the question of the word of power and its uses. Some contend that such a word, though it exists, is known to nobody on earth. Hence its use is a question which does not arise. Those who follow Ibn Khaldun and Geber, the latter is said to have written 500 books on magic, maintain that the word has been revealed and that this name, Ism al-Azam, is the one which alone compels the obedience of the genies. Students of the occult like Geber, Ja'afir Abu Musa, however, make a point of distinguishing between magic and sorcery. The latter, Kahana, uses talismans alone, without the name of God, which cannot, they affirm, be used for evil ends. There are other traces of Egyptian and Babylonian magic in Arabian occultism as passed to Europe in the Dark Ages. Either from here or through the Indian connection, possibly both, the Arabs felt that the magical circle al-Mandal was necessary in all conjurations to protect the operator from the wrath of Satan. Satan, of course, being the originator of black, as Solomon was of white, magic. Among the best-known writers, either on current magical practice or its theory, were At-Tabari, or Tafsir, Ar-Razi, Mafati, and Al-Zamakhshari, Kashaf. Their works are generally neglected by Western students of the occult. In fact, their material is not available for study in Western tongues in accurate translation.
This podcast is copyright 2018, the Idries Shah Foundation.